Hey guys, so a question that I get asked really frequently from my guitar students, especially people that have been playing for 6 months or a year, something like that. Once they've been playing for a little while, they want to start getting into some other equipment like pedals, things like that. And the question is always, what do I get? There's so much stuff on the market right now. What do I, where do you even start? Okay, we're going to take a look today at 4 Overdrive pedals that are relatively inexpensive. And these are all a great place to start out. They're all a little bit different, so I'll walk you through what each one of them does. You really can't go wrong with any one of these. They're all just do a slightly different job. So let's take a look. So we'll start off with the Super Overdrive, the Boss SD1. And this was, I think, my first Overdrive pedal that I ever bought, like a million years ago. And it still works just as well as the day that I got it, and I got it used. So Boss makes great stuff, and it lasts forever. This is a similar circuit to a Tube Screamer, kind of a mid-heavy overdrive. Can work really, really well if you have a little bit of gain going in your amp and you want to push that a little further. But it sounds pretty good into a clean amp as well. So we'll take a look at it. It's just got 3 really simple controls. You got the gain here, you got the level, and you get tone. So before we do that, here's what my clean sound is. And that is a Fender Hot Rod DeVille going into the Torpedo Captor X. A little bit of reverb on there. That's coming from the Captor X as well. So clean. And then engaging the SD1. So you can hear it's got a little bit of that nasally type quality to it, which I really like in an overdrive like that. Works great if you're in a mix and you need to have something that, kind of sticks through the mix a little bit. Yeah, just sounds great. So if I bump up the, I'll turn the treble up quite a bit so you can hear how bright it gets. All right, and then if we see how dark it'll get, if we turn that all the way down. Okay. I tend to run my tone controls, kind of in this area. A little bit of brightness, but not over the top. Like that. A fair amount of treble and a fair amount of mids, of course, as well. If we do something with some power chords so you can hear how that's going to sound. I'll dime the gain so you can hear what the amount of gain that we have on top. All right, and you can hear that there's not a ton of gain. This is not like a distortion, in your face kind of gain pedal. If you try to play Metallica with this, you're going to be disappointed. Well, it might sound interesting, but it won't sound like Metallica. So, not a ton of gain on top, but that's not really what it's trying to do. It's going for that light to medium overdrive kind of gain sound, right? And it's great for that. Okay. So that is a little bit of the SD1. Let's take a look at the DoD Overdrive 250, just commonly known as the DoD 250. I actually looked at this in another video recently, comparing it with the Greg channel from Earthquaker Devices. And if you watch that video, you know that I like this pedal quite a lot. I tend to run this one with the gain all the way up, and then back the level off a little bit to make it unity or a little above. This one is a little bit more, gainier than this one is. It's a little bit closer to that hard rock kind of thing. Kind of think. Crazy Train type sound, for that rhythm guitar. Not exactly that, but it's in the ballpark. Very bright. If we compare this again to the SD1, you'll hear, how much brighter this the DoD is. Right? A lot more mids and a little less treble. If we switch back. So a little less of that honky mid-range and a little bit more of that kind of upper mids or treble. Not saying that this one's better than this one. They just do two different things. So that's a little bit of that one. Now, the Rat. We did another video on the channel a while back. I did a video with Eric Geribaldi where we compared a couple different types of Rats. That's a really fun one. If you guys want to nerd out about Rat pedals for like 45 minutes or whatever it was, go check that one out. This is just the standard off-the-shelf Proco Rat, one you can get anywhere today for about $70. All right. And that's actually, I should mention too. So about $70 for this one here. This one, I think, brand new is like 99, maybe even a little bit less than that. You can definitely find it used for less than that. And this one here, brand new, you can get it for about $50, and you can maybe even be able to find it for a little bit less than that if you look around in the used market. So, so the Rat is a hard clipping overdrive. Came around the market around the same time that the DoD 250 did. Both of these are from the 70s. It's got quite a bit more distortion and a much fuller range. So let me just show you here. I tend to keep the distortion about here, and let's just see how that sounds. Okay, just a quick comparison with the DoD. Right, you can hear that the Rat has a little bit less brightness. I can actually control that here with the filter, which we'll talk about in a sec. The Rat is going to have more low end and a little bit more boom to it than the 250 will, okay, and less mids than the SD1. So the filter control here is essentially a tone control, just like what we had over here with that treble control, except that it's backwards. For some reason, they did it backwards. So this is actually the brightest setting, and as you turn it up, you lose high end. I'll turn it all the way off for a sec, all the way to the left. So that when it's all the way to the left, the filter control is actually not doing anything. It's just, you know, it's as bright as you can get. It's letting all those high frequencies through, and it gets really, really bright. Okay. For most situations, that's a little bit too bright, so we tend to run it, you know, up a little bit. Maybe there. Sounds pretty good right now. And we have a distortion amount, and we have a volume. So the distortion control is pretty powerful. We run this back quite a bit and boost the volume. It's actually, don't even really need to boost the volume that much, do we? Kind of like an overdrive type sound, almost, you know, not too dissimilar from the DoD 250. Bump it up a little bit. Okay. A little more. And that's, you know, right around there is when I really start to hear the quality that I think of in a Rat. It got a little bit more of that low end seems to come in. It feels like the circuit is just kind of working more. It's an awesome sound. So I use that all the time for, you know, if I want that aggressive, dirty type sound, you know, rhythm stuff works great. Awesome for that if you want to do lead stuff. Sounds great. So that's the Rat. If we dime the gain, of course, why not? It's a little bit of a, it gets a little fuzzier even. So this guy really does kind of run the gamut from overdrive to distortion, and then all the way up even to fuzz character almost. So if I have my bridge pickup on, get that. If I switch over to the neck pickup, you're going to hear more of that fuzzy kind of sound. Bridge pickup. Neck pickup. Whatever. There's the bridge pickup again. So, for me personally, I tend to run it about there or so. I find that works really, really well for both lead and rhythm stuff in that position. Okay, now the last one here, this one's a little bit, a little higher up on the price scale. The SL Drive from Exotic Effects. I put it on here because it's still not like totally out of the realm of, you know, being affordable. It's definitely a lot cheaper than several of the other overdrives that I use. This one, if you get it brand new, I think it's like $128. You might be able to find it used. I think I got this one used for about $100, so not too much more expensive than this guy over here. And it's a really awesome sounding pedal. So if you're able to go a little bit higher up, you might be really happy with this. This is a super lead type, you know, amp simulation in a box. So super lead would be a Marshall, high gain Marshall kind of a sound. It's got tons of gain on tap. The one thing, it really doesn't do low gain. Even if you turn the drive like way down, you know, it's still, drop and pick again. All right, here we go. It's still got quite a bit of gain even in that setting. Okay, just compare that real quick to the Rat at that same kind of gain level. Yeah, not too dissimilar actually. Here's the SL Drive again. All right, and then for me, I usually bump the gain up a little. And you've got a tone control here, just an overall brightness, so we can bump that up quite a bit. Or we can dial it way back. All right. Kind of run it up there a little bit. Here's some lead stuff. Sounds really nice for that. So this is a little bit closer to something like the Wampler Pinnacle, the Wampler Plexi Drive. You're sort of approaching that style of gain a little bit more. It's not exactly the same, but it's closer to that style than these other guys are. So as I mentioned, you know, earlier on, there isn't necessarily one of these that's better than any of the others. They're all just a little bit different. So this one here, the SL Drive, is going after that Marshall overdrive sound, like a heavy overdrive. The Rat goes from overdrive to great distortion sound all the way up to almost fuzz. Really aggressive style of overdrive or distortion. The DoD Overdrive 250. More of that kind of high-end, trebly, upper mids distortion, sounds great. Or the Super Overdrive from Boss, the SD1, a lower gain type sound. Still plenty of gain on tap. You know, you can get quite a bit out of it, but more of that mid-range, you know, kind of a honk, kind of a tube screamer type character to it. So that's really great for, you know, if you're doing like, I don't want to, you know, classify genres too much, but this is common in, you know, blues circles or some rock stuff, a little bit heavier rock, pretty heavy rock, and then this thing kind of runs the gamut. You can use this in you know, 70s rock all the way up through modern stuff. Now, I wanted to show you real quick, a couple of these pedals actually stack really well together as well. So let's say you've already got one of these and you want to see how it works with one of the other ones. If you put them together, you can get some awesome sounds like that. So let's take, for example, this the SL Drive. Okay, I'm going to run the gain back a little bit. So let's say that's my rhythm sound. I'm doing like a, you know, or maybe okay. If I hit the SD1, run that treble back a little bit. Same thing on this one here. Let me turn this off again. Here's my rhythm sound, we'll say. And then I'll hit this, which gives me a nice boost for if I'm going to play leads or if I'm going to play solo. So that's great for, you know, if I get this great rhythm sound. Sometimes when you're playing chords, you don't want so much distortion because it kind of, you know, muddles up the chord a little bit. So maybe I get this. then when I go to play my lead stuff, maybe it doesn't sing quite enough. And that doesn't sound terrible, but maybe I want a little bit more push. Use this one. You'll also get quite a bit more sustain when you stack the gain like that. So here's, if I just play one note. That's going to ring out for a long time. So there it is with that. Let's do the same thing with the DOD. Here's just the SL drive by itself. And then with the DOD, tons of gain. Okay. Now let's try the DOD with the, here's DOD by itself, with the super overdrive pushed into it. Yeah. It's a pretty cool sound there. And we'll just do one more of those. We'll do the real quick. If we were to stack the Rat with the SL drive, that's going to be kind of a monstrous amount of. If I stack the Rat, you know how I usually run. That's a lot of gain. Again, kind of fun to play with at home, you know. But in a live situation, it's a little ridiculous. But let's take a look at the Rat being boosted by either the DoD 250 or the SL drive. I'm sorry, the Super Overdrive. So I'll run the distortion back a little bit. This is an important note too. If you are stacking overdrives, a lot of times you want to run the gain a little bit lower than you normally would because you're mixing two different gains together. So if you have both gains cranked up, it's even on two low gain pedals. When you mix the two of them together, it's going to be a lot. So if you run it back a little bit, and I'll even do the same thing with this, run that back. Here's the DOD with the Rat. Okay. And then here's the SD1 with the Rat. Kind of a cool sound. Here's just the Rat by itself one more time. So it adds a little bit of the mids back into the Rat, which has a lot of bass and a lot of treble. So it kind of balances that a little bit more and gives it a little bit of a boost. So anyway, hopefully that gives you guys a couple of ideas. These are by no means, you know, the only pedals that you could go out and get on a budget when you're starting out, but they're all really solid options, just depending on what kind of a sound you're looking for. All right. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys all again real soon with another video.